And we are live. There we are, Dan. Welcome to Three Geeks Podcast number 119. Tonight we have a couple special guests joining us. We have Patrick McEvoy. Did I say that right, Patrick?
You sure did.
Sweet.
Extra points.
And Josh Finney.
Hello there.
Hi, Josh. So Josh is the author and creator. Is that correct? Of Casefile Arkham?
Actually, okay. That's a bit of a story. Patrick and I came up with the concept together.
Oh.
Credit where credit's due, but yeah, I'm the writer.
Okay, I knew you were the writer. And then
Josh
was the artist.
Patrick was the artist.
Sorry.
Take two. It's not like we're live or anything.
It's fine.
We're good. He wrote it.
Yeah. Thanks. Sorry about that. And they're from, so 2001 Publishing is basically who publishes Casefile Arkham and I think World War Kaiju and a couple other things you all have worked on, right?
01 Publishing.
It's just 01? Okay.
You added 2000 to it, but I guess that's okay.
It would be pretty classy if we got picked up by 2000 AD.
That would be. I like that.
Nice.
But yes, they are 01 Publishing, and yes, they have produced both of our Casefile Arkham books and World War Kaiju, which we've worked on together.
That's great. So I guess kind of what I'd be curious to know is where did you all come up with the idea for Casefile Arkham? Like what kind of spurred it? I know I saw a little bit in there that it's like a Lovecraftian meets wow, if I can spit the words out. Lovecraft meets neo-noir. And I'm kind of curious, like, what kind of brought that influence on?
Well, the initial influence came from the fact that people wanted Patrick and I to do a Lovecraft story as a comic. Due to Patrick's past as primarily being known for doing a lot of Lovecraftian art for Wizards of the Coast, Fantasy Flight, Chaosium, and 01 had just published in a Lovecraft anthology that had done very well. And I believe a couple weeks into it, Patrick and I decided we really didn't want to adapt a Lovecraft story.
Okay.
That is actually the birthplace of the idea. That and Patrick years ago saying, you know what would be cool if we did something like Angel Heart.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I wanted to do something kind of period piece, and that fit right into what we were thinking of. And so, we were having some conversations about what we would do. And like Josh said, we basically came to the conclusion we're not sure we really want to do this. And together, just because we had a lot of wide-ranging discussions on the topic, we both knew about each other, that we both liked Lovecraftian horror, but we also both liked film noir and hard-boiled detectives, and especially radio broadcasts from the 1940s and 50s that did that sort of hard-boiled detective stuff. And it came pretty naturally as we discovered that, neither one of us really liked the typical Lovecraftian protagonist who wasn't really an active participant in the stories. And I think, Josh, you can take that up from there.
Think that was the birthplace. Neither of us can really recall who first said, why don't we merge the two? But he and I were having a conversation, and I know at some point I had been saying, I really, really dislike telling from the perspective of Lovecraft's characters. They're all victims of the story. They're passive. They're usually in a room or talking to someone, just laying out how reality is eventually going to come drive them mad or kill them or crush them. They don't really get involved. They're pedestrians or worse, passengers to their fate. And I might have said something like, we need someone who's more proactive, like a detective or something. And maybe it was Patrick who said something like, well, Angel Heart, but something around, I forget who came up with it, but it just clicked that we both kind of agreed, noir. What if we did a hard-boiled detective noir in Lovecraft's universe? And after that, the ball was rolling and just ideas were coming fast. It was hard keeping up.
And a few people had done something kind of in a similar vein over the years, but no one had ever quite that we had read at the time. I think we've discovered a few things since, but nothing we'd read at the time that had really bubbled up into our consciousness had done exactly this. If it was noir mixed with Lovecraft, it was usually either tongue-in-cheek, which was, we didn't want to do that at all, or it was sort of a neo-noir, you know, taking it into modern times like Angel Heart or
Lord of Illusion.
Yes, Lord of Illusion.
The other big influence.
Yeah. But we really had this idea of having it take place in a period appropriate time and to be real, you know, hard-boiled detective fiction and real Lovecraft at the same time. And it's amazing once Josh got to starting on that story, how the two really meld together, not just from a look and feel, which was sort of my impetus, you know, the idea that things that look 20s, 30s, 40s really fit in with both of those genres. But then Josh kind of, you know, playing around like a mad scientist, found that the stories click together too.
Yeah. What was kind of amazing, and I've told this story many times now, but the aha moment for me that really made the whole thing click is, you know, anytime I do a story or start a new project, I throw myself into the medium, read, study everything I can on the subject matter. So, you know, I was reading all the Lovecraft stuff, reading where the ideas came from. I did a lot of research into noir and all its different forms and where it came from. And the aha moment for me was realizing two things. Raymond Chandler and Lovecraft were writing at first around the same time. That noir as we know it had its birth around the same time Lovecraft was producing his stories. But then also finding out, as I studied Raymond Chandler and the other noir writers and Lovecraft, that they both were inspired by the same social changes, fears, and just they were both a response to the same social pressures. You know, there had been a depression, a war and then another war, or a war and a war to come. There was the Industrial Revolution. The old religions were no longer really providing the moral compass and guidance they once did. They were becoming less applicable, and science was conflicting constantly with a lot of our understanding of the world. And it was out of that chaos that Lovecraft was writing from, because it terrified him. But at the same time, these noir characters, all the moral ambiguity, and just people struggling through hard times, was, again, it was a response to the same things. And once I knew that, I had the voice. I knew exactly where to write the story from, what the perspective would be, and how they'd fit together. I really wanted to favor noir over horror first, mainly because, I don't know, I wanted to make it a legitimate noir story. But on top of that, so many other times that the detective or a supernatural detective or occult detective story genre, it's kind of more of an urban fantasy setting, or the detective is a wizard and already familiar with everything. And I wanted that more as background. So.
Cool. That's really awesome. I did actually not know that detail, and that actually kind of makes the melding of these two mediums make a lot of sense in a lot of different ways. And so the most recent one you all did for the Arkham Casefile Arkham, sorry, was Her Blood Runs Cold. And that was volume 2, and that was released March 5th. Is that right?
Yes, the hard copy was March 5th.
Okay.
In digital? A little bit earlier in digital.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so it's available on Amazon, and I believe, is it available on o1publishing.com too?
Oh yeah, O1 Publishing, and any bookstore that'll carry it.
Cool. And so that one it's an interesting story. Kind of like, I guess more my question is, because I read the first volume too, is I'm kind of curious, where do you all come up with your ideas of kind of like, at what point do you decide how we're going to meld it? because what's interesting is I can kind of see where like the hard-boiled detective story, especially in like the most recent one, her blood runs cold, kind of meets, right? Because that's how the story kind of kicks off, is you end up meeting with a guy who was your friend when you came back from the war, which actually I really love. The private detective Flynn, I believe is his name.
Yes.
And the fact that he's suffering with PTSD from World War II. That was such a great piece that so many people, I think, take for granted everything that even those, because I think more in our current cultural understanding, most of us understand that that's what war does to people. But people have such a romanticized view of World War II, I think. And I think Saving Private Ryan broke some of that for some people. But in a sense, it was great to see that. And kind of, I guess what I was curious was, how do you all decide where those two kind of meet and where you go, okay, wait, is that too far as the Lovecraftian angle? Or is it just mostly you want to have an active protagonist?
It's interesting that you put it in the. I mean, I'll let Josh expound on it because he had definitely wrote them. But it's interesting that you mentioned the first book compared to the second book, because they were kind of a different level of alchemy. The first book is based on the H.P. Lovecraft story Pickman's Model, primarily. And it's I like to describe it as like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, if you've ever seen that great movie. And it's like the characters in another story, what are they doing when they're off screen in the story? And Pickman's Model, in a way, was, what if the characters were pretty much the way they were and doing the things they did in the order they did them, and yet one of them had hired a private eye, and that's going on around the edges. And so that was a fun, almost formalistic exercise that Josh did on that first one. But then, Josh, you could tell them about the second one as a whole different origin. That's really a whole different kind of clever amalgam.
We had initially discussed, and I feel that as more stories come, we'll probably try and stick close to this format. And the idea is try and keep true to the Lovecraftian stories and have Flynn just kind of run concurrently or parallel to what's happening in them and kind of intersect in and out of the stories. So in a sense, you could read the original Lovecraft and it still functions alongside ours. And we definitely achieved that in the first book. That was the intent. I don't even remember how we came up with that, but it was one of those, we were both in very much agreement that that's what we wanted to do. And it just seemed Pickman worked out really well as a kind of a straight ahead serial killer story in a way. Just happens to be that he's a ghoul. The first book was really hard on me. It was very difficult with the language. It was kind of a trial by fire of making sure that I kind of mastered the don't overwrite it, don't overdo it, just have that right balance of pastiche of noir so that it isn't a parody. And it was very difficult. And by the end of the first book, I was done with Ark. I didn't want to do any more. It's like, screw this, I'm done. I'm going to take a year off. I'm not going to think about it. And 3 weeks later, I was laying in bed and I'm fading out to sleep. And I'm not sure exactly what caused it to happen, but I was thinking about Lovecraft's Thing on the Doorstep, which is a pretty infamous story of his. Thinly veiled attack on his ex-wife, essentially, in his failed marriage. And then somewhere in my head, it clicked that there was a Chandler novel where about, Marlowe gets a case, and I consider it his best book. I won't say what it is because it'll ruin the story for those who haven't read Her Blood Runs Cold. But this Chandler novel was also written in response to his wife's death. And I started realizing the two stories had a lot of parallels. A lot of them. I mean, they were different, but there were enough parallels that you could kind of merge the two into a single story that had elements of both. And it just started locking in my head as a fully formed idea. And I think within a couple days, I had a full treatment written, and I call up Patrick, and here we are. But it was a very different beast entirely.
That's a great insight. Go ahead, Patrick. Sorry.
Oh no,
Okay.
I had nothing else to say. I
Okay.
said it all.
Yeah, that's great insight. Like, I was kind of curious because I definitely could feel like an evolution. So is there a plan for you all to do a third volume in the future? I mean, you did kind of hint at it, but
There is a plan to do as many as readers will allow us to. We have so many ideas and potential stories already kind of lined up. It's just an order of when we find the moment to do them and if there's the funds.
Yeah, comics are not exactly the most lucrative business in America today. In fact, worldwide. So we are dependent on sales. And the first one sold well enough for the publisher to give us the green light to
That's
do
awesome.
the second one, which was neat. And then both of them, as you guys know, the listeners might be interested to know, both of them were funded primarily through Kickstarter campaigns.
Oh, cool.
And the great thing about that is that it doesn't make Josh and I beholden to any particular publisher with any sort of editorial agenda. We can just write what we want and do the things we want and try to find our own audience. So Kickstarter has been fantastic for us. It allows me as an artist to do the art that you've seen. I like to think it's pretty good, but it's aside from whether or not it's of quality, it's very detailed. So it takes a lot of time to do. And by doing the Kickstarter campaign, I can do it as a professional artist, getting paid and making that my primary work while I'm doing it. I can spend, a full day on a page where, it might be difficult, or if I did have that much time to spend and I was also, doing another full-time job, a page might take me a week in my spare time. So by doing Kickstarter, it's been really a fantastic thing for us on both the creative and a financial level, keeping body and soul together. So in the future, we're just hoping that the sales go up on the second volume, and it looks really promising so far. And if that happens, like Josh says, we'll be doing these until we're older and grayer.
Yes. Well, Patrick's had a few ideas that at some point absolutely have to be done. He and I have talked a lot about Shadow over Innsmouth needing to be a story. We've talked a lot about a twist on Chinatown, and I won't say any more. He also has brought up Color from Outer Space.
Out of Space, yeah.
Okay.
Which was high on his list. And then I have a few that I definitely want to do as well, such as Shadow Out of Time, and then there's elements of Chandler's stories and noir films that I'd like to merge into that sort of setting. But there is a wealth of story material here, and the kind of writer that I am, I kind of have to realize the whole world to be able to write it. A lot of these characters, I come up with a lot of stuff that I don't think I'll ever tell, or I don't know if I'll ever tell. Just about every character that you've met up with who has any meaningful role in the two books have full backgrounds, and I already know how they play into a larger story. And I need to know that just to be able to write them correctly. So like in the second book, the easy example is all that stuff with Flynn's girlfriend, Glinda.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that in the first book. I just didn't know if I'd ever tell it.
That's cool.
And the other character that still remains to have a lot told about him is Sinclair, the police detective.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot more to him than anyone realizes, and I touch upon it this time in the second book, but there's a lot more there.
Cool. And then we keep mentioning somebody off screen that everybody talks about, but we haven't seen, which is Big Eddie, the boss of the Innsmouth mob. And at this point, enough people have talked about him that he seems like he's a character, but we've only had him in, I think, one panel
Yeah.
so far, and then a photograph of him in the new book. If you blink quick, you'll miss it. But there's a photo of him at one point. So
For reasons that I will not reveal because it'll ruin the story. One of the things that Patrick and I had both decided on from the beginning is the whole mystery about Flynn's war flashbacks and the weird moments where he can see the other side of reality. It's all going to culminate in some sort of showdown in Innsmouth, and that's all I can reveal.
That's really cool. Yeah, I definitely was curious about that because it's definitely a recurrent theme just from volume 1 to volume 2.
That'll keep coming up.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of like the major arc that we went into this knowing that if there were more, that would be the major arc that kept connecting them all together.
And I love doing those flashbacks to the war because I had to come up with an interesting sort of framing device to make it to give it its own look and feel, and it's actually really fun to do all these crazy lines around everything. Yeah, so that was a ton of fun.
Yeah, it's definitely a great book, and definitely everyone out there, check it out. It's the volume 1 and volume 2 are both really good. The artwork's amazing.
Yeah, the artwork's really, really nice, man.
Thank you.
I'd say it's some of Patrick's best, if you don't mind me saying that.
I don't mind at all. You can say it as many times as you want.
I don't know. You might have some other project you think's better. I don't know.
Yeah, even if I did, I would not be gauche enough to contradict a person who's praising my work.
That's not my best. This is my best.
Yeah. You don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I hate you.
It's a coffee table book.
And so definitely check out both of them because they definitely build up a great narrative. And obviously, if you go out and you get this book, you're going to get more volumes because you're supporting Josh and Patrick, and they're gonna produce more content for us, and that'll be awesome. Just because the evolution of this, like just going from book 1 to book 2, is already great. I can't wait to see if you get the chance to do the next one. So.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I think we're getting the hang of it. Josh has mastered many words in the English language. I've pretty much learned how to draw.
Yeah.
Well, let me put it this way: there's already a treatment written for book 3. Let's give it a year of sales and see how we do.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So there you go, folks. That's your goal.
Thanks. Yes, you all have a mission.
All right. Thank you all. And so 01publishing.com, I believe casefilearkham.com, right, as well,
Yes.
if they want to check out for both of them. And then obviously anywhere books are sold, if your most obvious retailer out there, Amazon.com. And if you search for Casefile Arkham, you'll find both of them. Her Blood Runs Cold if you want the most recent one, and Nightmare on the Canvas for the first one. So check them out. And as well, thank you all for joining us. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Dan, or any questions? You're good?
No, I'm pretty good. You covered it pretty well, man.
All right. Just wanted to make sure. I know we talked about it before. And as well, so you all are welcome to stay around. We're going to kind of hop into our regular little spiel for our podcast where we get into a few topics of the week and kind of covered what's gone on in the past week with us. We didn't have a podcast last week, which is actually unusual. Usually we try to go every week.
No matter what happens. So.
Yeah, exactly. Even if it's 20 minutes, right? We gotta get something out there. And so this past week, we have a friend who also podcasts with us, Domo Batman. That's what his handle he goes by. Was he at the Lexington, or was he at a separate? So he was at Lexington. Oh, that sucks.
He was at Lexington,
and he was in the cosplay show, and he had a bit of an accident. We're wishing you well, Domo. We hope you feel better. And as well, if you feel like supporting him in any way, he does have a YouTube channel. Matter. So check him out there, and you can support him and send well wishes if you want to do that there. As well, please check out for Audible. So audibletrial.com/3geeks. If you want to help support us in a little bit, any subscriptions help us. So that's
We really need Max for this one, man.
What you mean his fire starter, his fire hazard of books?
Yeah. Like do you like to read books but not want a fire hazard? You go to audible.com
audibletrial.com/3geeks.
audibletrial.com/3geeks. There we go.
Good try, Dan. Good try.
We'll get that shit in there somehow.
Yep. All right. So let's kick it off. Let's go into probably the biggest geek news of the week. Avengers dropped the second Infinity War trailer. And if you had any doubts that someone was going to die, I think they cemented it this week for sure. It's now just a guessing game on who. What do you, Dan?
Should we guess?
Sure, absolutely.
Yes, please.
Honestly, I think because they've been trying to get rid of him from day one, they're going to kill off Iron Man. They really want Robert Downey Jr. out of the way. Which I think it's a terrible idea.
They pay him far too much. So
yeah, I think that's the one that looked the most likely. I mean, they dropped the most hints in the trailer, and he's a character also who has just about finished a great story arc. I mean, he at the end of Spider-Man: Homecoming, he finally proposed to his longtime girlfriend, and in this movie they can wrap up their arc, and there's no reason for him to continue on, not the least of which reason being they've got Rhodey as War Machine, who is essentially the same character with different colors. He's gray instead of red and gold. So why not just take over with a War Machine series?
Rhodey doesn't have the charisma.
Well, they haven't written him with enough charisma, really. I think Don Cheadle's got a lot of possibility. It's not the same sort of madcap tongue-in-cheek charisma, but he's got his own thing. But yeah, he's the most likely one, I think. Absolutely. And Captain America for the same reason. They've gone through a big arc with Captain America. Why not have him die a hero and move on from there with Winter Soldier or Falcon or both. Winter Soldier and Falcon would be a great movie.
Absolutely.
I would accept the Captain America one, but only if you get the whole Punisher becomes Captain America arc. Because that was awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if we can get that to happen, Dan. But I agree with you all. I think Robert Downey for sure, Iron Man, because one it does fit the character, and then two, there is definitely a financial benefit to Disney from the obviousness of it.
They're running out of Brinks trucks to back up.
Really.
It's not the money itself; it's the trucks. They've just run out.
Yeah, there you go.
They just keep parking that stuff in his driveway, and it's full now.
That's right.
Well, you remember for a long while they kept trying to figure a way to replace him with a different actor, and everyone's like, "No."
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I remember that. They kept trying, and then at one point they were going to get rid of most of the other actors, and then they managed to get them re-signed, and he got contracts for all of them. So, yeah, I definitely think he's just from a character arc. I do agree. I didn't even think about the fact that they had him propose to Pepper Potts, and absolutely, because he kind of foretold all of this kind of happening in the what's that, Avengers, Ultron, I believe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I kind of see it just coming to a close there. And then I think Steve Rogers will die. I just don't think it'll be this one. I think it'll be Avengers 4, just so that way they can hand off the mantle to the Doctor Strange, the rest of the new Avengers. What was that, Dan?
They hand off the mantle to the Punisher. then he comes back. You get that awesome ass panel of Captain America just kind of sitting there going, "The hell are you doing?" to the Punisher. You see, it's awesome.
Oh god, that would be so awesome. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get lucky enough though. That would be so cool. And it'll be interesting to see if they even, I don't know. I have high hopes. I would love for them to actually at least have, but Punisher, he's just too dark in the Netflix series. I was like, I would love for him to touch that universe, but I'm like, oh my God.
That would be.
You can fit him in there.
You can fit him in there.
Sorry, you know, I mean, Doctor Strange can just pull out all the bullets. You see, it's fine.
Well, there you go.
You know, it could be like the old Spider-Man stuff where he had to use like rubber bullets and like some weird kind of like gauze net and stuff.
Oh my God, yeah.
So you want to hear my theory? This is my. I don't even know if I'd call it a theory, but if I were in charge of Marvel, this is how I would do it. So apologies, because this is obviously how they're going to do it. So I'm giving everything away.
Well, you are kind of an encyclopedia of this stuff.
I'm that tiresome. But I think they're going to do this. They're going to go back to the original Infinity Gauntlet, and at the end of this Avengers movie, he's going to have all the Infinity Stones, and he's going to do the snapping his fingers bit, and all the Avengers will be dead. Half of the life in the universe will be dead, and they will end the movie there. That would be the way I would do it. Because also, I noticed their next few movies before the next Avengers movie all have secondary characters. Mm-hmm. So they could kind of also combine it with the what was that called, where the Image guys took over Marvel for a year, and they had this whole, when the Thunderbolts started and everything, so they had this whole thing where all of the heroes were gone and new heroes had to take over. And then, you know, a year later, they made their way back. So if I were Marvel, I'd do it that way. I'd have at the end, all the Avengers themselves are dead. Thanos has done something horrible. All the next movies are going to build up to the next Avengers, where they get all the people back by defeating Thanos somehow, like they did in, Infinity War.
Infinity Gauntlet, yep.
Yep. So there we go. Patrick's theory. That's how I would do it if I were Marvel.
I like it, but it's too much of a Transformers the movie, ending. Yeah. And you're gonna have kids like locking themselves in their room for like 3 days and crying and like
mass suicides of
like,
8-year-olds across the country.
Prime?
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, I would love to see that. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how bleak they go with the end. I mean, they've already dropped so many hints, because basically the Russo brothers have said there will be tears shed in every theater. Is what they've already said. I was like, wow.
Nice.
That's
better than bloodshed in every theater.
I do not think they're going to kill Rocket, and that's the only thing that could get a tear out of me.
Yeah, okay.
Oh gosh. Oh yeah, that would be sad. Yeah, I don't think they'll touch the Guardians.
Drax would make me sad too. So.
Ooh, Drax though is another good one. He's a
logical one.
He's a logical one.
But he's going to want to like stab Thanos.
I mean, I never thought that Dave Bautista would be good at that, and until I saw it, and I'm like, he's really good at playing an idiot. This is great.
He's perfect. He is the perfect idiot. But on the other hand, he wasn't bad in Blade Runner either. So.
No.
Yeah, he was actually really good in that.
Yeah.
Surprising depths of competency.
Yeah.
My theory.
Go ahead, Josh.
My theory is that essentially what's going to happen is everyone's going to die, like Patrick said, and then out of nowhere, they're just going to shove the Eternals in.
Mm.
They're just going to force the Eternals on everyone, right? And everyone's going to be super confused, right?
Nice.
Well, they did that in the first Guardians movie. They had an Eternal there for about 20 seconds, flashback. Was that the first or second? The first one.
That was the first one. Yeah, because he basically uses one of the Power Stone and destroys a planet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the Eternals then show up and say, well, it's time for you to be judged.
Yeah, I'm still curious to see if the other fan theory comes true, which is that Hela is Death, whom he's been trying to court, or if they're not even going to touch that storyline.
I saw that one. But that would be a good storyline to pick up on. But yeah, you're right. Is that a little too strangely psychosexual for their target audience? Fans like me who just like Rocket and Groot.
Okay, so they all die, right? And then the Flash comes in, and he.
Crisis on Infinite Earth.
Oh,
yeah, there you go.
Like everything explodes, and it's the Ultimates.
Yeah.
I actually liked Thor as in the Ultimate Avengers because nobody knew if he was actually a god or not. He was just like some crazy asshole, like on this weird like green world bent.
Yeah. I thought that was my favorite part of Ultimates too. I actually liked. I bought the Ultimates, that whole first run, without ever actually liking any of the characters. And I realized at the end of it, it's like I had said to myself, wow, I really like hitting myself in the face a lot. And so I did it and I enjoyed it. But when I was done, I said, is it something I really should have been doing? But yeah. There we are, the Ultimates. Patrick's capsule review of the Ultimates.
It kind of just happened, right?
Whatever. I just like tree hugging Thor. That was just odd.
He was really good.
Oh man,
France hating Captain America.
Yeah,
drunk abusive Ant-Man.
Drunk abusive Ant-Man. He lives in Thanos' world, though.
Yeah, slutty spy Black Widow.
Oh
yeah,
yep.
The only part that didn't really work for me is I just couldn't buy that Nick Fury would have voted for Nader. It's like, no, it's like. Would you vote for the guy that's going to defund you?
No. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Wow, that's some detailed memory there, Josh.
That was the only part I didn't buy. The rest I loved, actually. That first graphic novel I thought was really good.
Yeah. Oh, the art was astounding too.
Oh yeah.
What was it? Self-esteem problem, Bruce Banner.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the Hulk you really want,
The Hulk keeps threatening to eat people. That was good too. They can, now that Hulk can talk, which I think was the most brilliant move in the new Thor movie, which was great, by the way. Now that Hulk can talk, he can threaten to eat people. So they should. I'll add that to my fan theory of what's going to happen. Hulk will awesome. Threaten to eat everybody and eat at least one person. Maybe Gamera.
Oh, remember the part where they were all children in the Ultimates, and each character was talking about what actor would play them in a movie?
Oh, no.
Really? That was in the first graphic novel. That was one of the parts that really stood out to me.
I don't remember that part of it. So I guess Nick Fury would have been obvious.
Yeah.
Hasselhoff.
That would be a funny crossover if both of them were side by side.
Yeah.
Yes,
it was an alternate Earth. Hasselhoff, Nick Fury shows up.
Nice. The Dolph Lundgren Punisher. Yes.
Wow. I think you've put your finger on something. Alternate versions meeting up with each other. Yes.
They gotta all be the cheap versions though. Like the Fantastic Four from Roger Corman and like
the porn stash Doctor Strange from the 70s.
Yeah, nice. Forgot about that one. Good one.
Oh my god, I didn't even know that existed. That's awesome.
Yes. Made for TV movie, I think.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, find that and watch it, Phil. It's not good, but it's not bad either.
It's an enjoyable bad watch.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Yeah, it's not like Captain America is like the Ewoks Christmas of Marvel. But,
like that throw onto the bridge.
But Doctor Strange was enjoyably awful.
Yes.
You know,
Nothing
Doctor
happens in the
Strange,
movie.
the Doctor Strange 1970s version
Yes.
with Jessica Walters playing Morgana. What if
Yes.
they brought her back, but Morgana as the mom from Archer? She played that character.
I'd pay to see that.
I'm listening. Wow.
All right, what's next?
This is actually kind of how we like to run our cast.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
A little off the cuff.
We just kind of ramble off for a while, and then it's over.
We come back to something usually. But at this point, what's next is kind of stuff which I don't know if I really want to bring it up since it's just you, Dan, because you were the only one that was there for the Lexington convention.
Let's do it next week then, because JT isn't on here. Max
isn't on. Yeah, I was like,
okay. Spoilers. We had a good time at the convention. More on that shit next week. All right.
Yeah, there you go. Stay tuned. Oh my. So that's actually it for topics. Other than I'm trying to think of anything big that dropped this week outside of that.
You didn't like my Tommy Wiseau Joker thing?
I must have missed that one actually.
Did that really happen?
Oh, yes. He made a screen test as the Joker, which was basically him like painted up as the Joker saying like all the iconic Joker lines badly.
I need to see this.
But yeah, you need to see that video because it's like it might actually work.
I'd be scared of him.
Yeah,
if Tommy Wiseau came at me with a flower shooting acid, I would piss myself.
It's like, oh god, it's Tommy Wiseau.
Exactly.
Like horrible mime face paint with acid.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Batman.
Yeah. Like, have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? I have.
Oh, Joker, you're my favorite villain.
So then, if you did Tommy Wiseau in Killing Joke, after the whole scene with Barbara Gordon, and he's, no, I did not hit her.
Throwing bottled water around, yeah. There you go. There was a dude right in front of us in line at the con for a Tara Strong autograph. And it took me like half the line to realize he was cosplaying as Tommy Wiseau.
Oh.
He had a football and a suit, and everything. And I just had a whole brain fart like the whole time. I was like, oh shit, dude.
So is this Joker thing on YouTube or somewhere we can see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well then, if there is a god or any other sort of intelligence controlling the universe, there will be a lot of Tommy Wiseau as Joker cosplayers at San Diego this year.
That would be great.
Because that's what I want to see.
A whole group of them doing a photo shoot. Yeah.
But if
all looking in the wrong direction and not at the camera.
But if there's enough people doing it, they might actually think that he's wanted and cast him. Which could be good or bad. I'm not sure.
I'll forget I said that. Of course, on the other hand, it can't be any worse than Batman v Superman. Boom!
Yeah, hey, I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, there's no destruction there. That's honest.
Yeah. Very, very much so. I didn't even like Man of Steel, so.
No, nor did I.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Justice League was awful.
Yeah, I didn't watch it because DC already took my money 3 times and didn't give me a movie I enjoyed. So.
I'll admit, since it's just us and no one else will ever listen, I did actually illegally download Justice League. Wouldn't give them any money because I knew it was going to suck. And in fairness, I only ended up seeing about half of it because I kept fast forwarding through the stupid parts.
That's the pleasantness of actually having it.
Yeah.
At least I didn't pay for this.
Yeah, exactly. Boy, I would have felt stupid.
I'm not gonna lie, I almost bought it at a secondhand shop for like $10, and then I saw it was the extended edition. I was like, I don't know.
Oh, deep hurting.
Nice.
It's kind of baffling how Warner Brothers could get something wrong this many times so badly.
Dude,
they pay people to study this.
Yeah. No, it's even seeped through to their animation department now. Usually, the DC stuff was good.
Yeah.
Have you seen Gotham by Gaslight?
No.
It's awful.
What?
Yeah.
Is it actually based on the Manila story?
Supposedly, but like
they wrecked it.
Yeah, they did. Most of the villains have like a cameo, and if you're a girl villain, you just get killed by the Ripper, apparently. But yeah, and then like it started out okay, but the whole like twist at the end is brought on by pure coincidence, not because Batman is any kind of detective. and then it just won't end. It just keeps going. And it's like, man, why did you ruin that? You could have just gone straight from the book.
That's sad. Yeah, because you're right. It's as bad as their movies have been.
Like
their animation's really been
it's the opposite. Like the Marvel animation is pretty shitty. Like the Doctor Strange Hulk Halloween special thing. that exists. Go watch that.
Yep.
No, I refuse. No.
but the Marvel movies are always pretty damn good, and the DC movies suck, but the animation was good. But I don't know.
Well, actually, there was. Oh, go ahead.
From what I understand, and again, I only know this in passing, is that there had been an ongoing struggle that Bruce Timm just kept getting too much influence because everyone liked what he was doing.
Oh, yeah.
And there had been some sort of a struggle with Warner Brothers trying to continually push him aside so that he didn't gain too much control, because everyone started associating the cartoon with being the definitive DC universe, and they didn't like that. And I wish they'd just, swallow their pride and put him back in charge and give him full freedom.
Yeah, I mean, they had something that people liked. I mean, that's something that DC has struggled to get.
Yeah.
And yet,
I have to say, I'm not even a huge fan of the Batman trilogy.
Wow.
I thought Batman Begins was really good. I mean, it's excellent, but I thought The Dark Knight, frankly, and I have charts and graphs to prove my point. So
I have charts and graphs to contradict you, Sarah. So.
I think that was a thoroughly mediocre movie that would have been an absolute slog to watch if it hadn't had a genius performance in the middle, which was entirely by accident. The Joker performance makes that movie. Every time he's not on screen, I go into a deep coma and they have to resuscitate me before he comes back. It's not that great a movie. And then the third one I thought was just a hot mess. I can
agree with you on that one, but I'm gonna say Batman Begins. Just every action scene is like filmed completely wrong. It's all close-ups, man. It's like you see Batman, you see the bad guy, then you see Batman's fist hit something, and then you see the bad guy or the bad guy like fly away, and it's just repeated over and over. It's like nobody can choreograph this shit, so why bother?
That's a good point. Of course, the first Burton Batman had kind of the same problem too.
Yeah, but that at least had like stylistic things, and it didn't have ninjas.
Good point.
If you have ninjas, you need to choreograph this shit.
well argued, sir. Put that one on your spreadsheet.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think
it didn't have Arnold Schwarzenegger making horrible jokes.
In
a glitter outfit. So at least there's that.
Step in the right direction.
I said I like the Burton ones, not the
not the horrible bat nipple ones.
Although I will say that Val Kilmer would have been a really good Batman had he had the script.
I'm of two minds on that. I agree, except, and I know this isn't always the thing with comic book movies. You have to take the actors themselves kind of the way they look with a grain of salt. That's why you cover them with rubberized bat suits. But Val Kilmer had such a skinny neck at that point. He really looked in danger of snapping in a stiff wind. When Robin looks more fit than Batman, you've done something wrong with the casting.
Hey,
so.
You guys remember the episode of the Batman animated series where was it the kids are all talking about the different what they think Batman is?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, okay.
Did you recall? There's a scene where they're each swapping stories, and apparently I went back and checked after I read about this. They're talking, and then there's pan over, and there's one kid wearing a feather boa, and behind them there's a shoe store, and he's like, "No, Batman wears this," and he's like this, and he's the kid's kind of describing bat nipples essentially, right? And the sign of the shoe store says Schumacher's.
Oh, Jesus. Nice.
Awesome.
And they all tell him to buzz off.
Never saw that. I never noticed that. Wow.
Like, yeah, go away, Joel. Whatever, Joel.
Oh, that's excellent.
That is awesome.
Nice.
Oh my God. Yeah. Those old bat nipples.
Yeah.
Oh God. Such a terrible
Can't live with them. Can't live without them.
Apparently.
That's what the bat credit card's for.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's so terrible.
Oh, and what was it like the chicks dig the car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something you expect Batman to say.
Yeah. Of course.
I'm not going to be happy till they actually do Poison Ivy right and make her look like a Tex Avery cartoon.
Her power is to make men's eyes bug out and go, "Ooga."
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
So like Jessica Rabbit is what you're looking for.
Yeah.
I guess I was actually kind of obsessed with the original Batman animated series. I did. That was another thing I found out in the production notes. Is they actually did draw Poison Ivy originally to look like a Tex Avery cartoon.
Nice.
She's the only woman in the entire series that breaks the rules of the design Bible of how characters are drawn.
Huh. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that cartoon. That original, that Batman the Animated Series might be the top, superhero cartoon ever. I don't think it's too daring for me to say that, but yeah,
I agree.
No,
become everyone's definitive Batman.
The zenith, the pinnacle, if you will.
Oh man, yeah. It was. Go ahead, Dan. Sorry.
Now we ask, how did we get here?
It's actually pretty easy.
I can answer that, but keep going.
There's a straight line from
Joker. Okay.
There's a straight line from Avengers 4 to this, but it goes through 18 dimensions.
Exactly. It's the epitome of happiness with Marvel, and then the exact opposite to the of DC being so awful right now, and us longing for the good days.
I thought Avengers Assembled, was that the original first run of the cartoon? Had a lot of promise.
It was around 2010, and it was on for only 2 years, and it was great. And it was getting fairly good ratings too, but they canceled it in favor of another piece of crap Avengers thing that was awful.
Mighty Avengers or something like that.
Yeah. But Earth's Mightiest Heroes, that might be the best cartoon.
I know some guy did a style guide or something for that, or had a.
Yeah, I know some artist who some of his art was used in the introduction to that show. So
don't know who though.
Might have been me.
What was amazing, that piece of clip art you did of the characters, they used that so many times.
Right.
Nice.
I did like
Cool.
I did like 3 of the characters on that. They composite everything together. I was on contract with Marvel for a while back around that time doing stuff for their marketing department. So I was an exclusive Marvel artist, but not on any comic books, just on the Marvel style guide and things like that.
Well, wait now, like 30 years from now, when people are going to bring out like you know how they had like the art stuff for the for the game cabinets, and they're like, this is going to be worth something, that's what they're going to do with your stuff. So
well, we'll find out. Yes, maybe. And then various pictures I did for that might be on some games and socks and hats. I don't know, things like that.
I've got to ask Patrick. I've always wanted to ask, and I keep forgetting. That piece of art you did, since it got used so much for merchandising, did you ever just break down and say, you know what, hell, I'm going to buy a pair of socks with my art on it?
I have seen a few things here and there with my art on it from that time I was with Marvel, but I've never bought anything. The only thing I was really tempted, I wish I could have gotten, and I wonder if it even exists, it's True Ephemera. It's something that I don't know if anyone ever even saved, was around the time the Hulk movie came out, 2009 or so, 2010. I forget, somewhere in that era. I was on a lot of drugs. They had a tie-in for department stores that had toy sections. I know Target had this, where they put these stickers on the floor of the Hulk's feet as if he had smashed into the floor like 3 inches because he was walking. Yeah. And there was a left and a right, and they had those in the stores, and they would lead to the toy section. So kids would go, oh, look, Mommy, the Hulk was here. And they'd go in and, oh, now buy me this toy. And so I wish I could have gotten a copy of the feet, because I think that was the most weird thing I have ever done and ever will do.
Nice.
But like I say, complete ephemera. I'd be surprised if one even exists, because they would have taken it out, put it on the floor, and got stomped on and destroyed.
Yeah. I think I remember seeing those, but
yeah, a lot of people did. I saw somebody saw it at a store and took a photograph of it for me. Nice. But the photo wasn't all that great, but at least I could see it conceptually existed.
Yeah. Yeah, I would so buy the pair of socks had I made the art for it. I'd be like, who drew this? I drew this.
Oh, that's awesome. All right.
Yeah, this will probably flatter you, Patrick. Every once in a while, Kat and I will go into a game store and see if we can. So how many products here have Patrick's art? We'll flip through the Numeria books a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot in there. It's funny, just all the random stuff I've done for people over the years, and all. Oh, I did this one. Oh, I did this one. Oh.
Now, the only equivalent I can even state is this was a job right after getting out of college. I had done some pixel art for a Dora the Explorer game for a thing called the Leapster.
Okay, yeah.
And seeing that in the Toys R Us was a little surreal. No, I didn't buy
it. That's cool. I mean, it's not cool that it was for the Leapster, but it is. No, dude, those things. I used to work in 2 different secondhand shops for quite a while, and you would get those in, and nobody would buy them. You end up selling them on eBay, like $30 for like that and 5 games.
Just trying to offload the inventory, right?
Yeah. And then Christmas time, you get a bunch of them back in again. You're like, oh, can you sell this? Like $5.
The kids discovered they didn't really want those. They wanted real video games.
Yeah, exactly. I always felt bad, like for the kid that gets like a PS2 and then like the Bible adventure game. I'm like, man. like get the kids some Crash Bandicoot or something. Come on.
See, that's where the kids need you, Dan. So that way you can.
Yeah. I mean, I am also like Gamera, a friend to all children.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, well played.
Yeah. All right. It sounds like we're well tapped. That's usually that's usually just kind of how we judge this. Is we kind of feel the talking out, and we realize, okay, yep, we're done.
Yeah. We talked about nothing for like 15 minutes.
Is it as soon as there's a Toho reference? It's all over.
No. It's usually generally there's like a group timing of a sigh or a laugh, and then just about a second of silence. We're like, all right, it's time.
Or I start pulling out the Mystery Science Theater references, but there were 3 this time.
Yeah, you caught my deep hurting.
Yes, I did. Of course I did.
Yeah, you're pretty good for that.
It's like watch out for snakes, you know.
Oh,
And she's an acrobat, Ted.
a true traveler, a fellow traveler.
All right.
All right. Well, if you guys ever want to do anything kaiju related, I'm also a wealth of information on that too. So
can't shut him up. I mean, yeah, he knows a lot about it.
Well,
nice. Yeah, sure. Why not?
all right. Well, hey, it was good talking to you guys.
And you guys as well, man.
Yeah.
And we like the book. The book is awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's,
all right.
Take
care, guys.
I guess we're gone. Okay, I'll talk to you later. I'm leaving. I'm out of here.
All right.
All right. See you then.
Bye.
All right. So thank you all for joining us tonight as well. Check out Casefile Arkham. I put the links in the description box below, as well as the first thing when you click on it. So it should obviously be there. As well, check us out, or subscribe, please. Actually, don't check us out. On audibletrial.com/3 Geeks podcast. 3 Geeks, not 3 Geeks podcast. We didn't rebrand it. Yeah, it's just 3 Geeks. Anyway, so that way we can at least get some money going there. Oh Lord, my tongue is just tied tonight. It's just been terrible, which is terrible when we have guests, but that's okay.
I was happy listening to you like fumble through the end here. It's pretty good. I mean, I can't do this any better. I mean, I'm not saying that I can. I just
You're just enjoying. I'm glad.
Yes, I am.
I'm glad I can make you laugh, Dan. You make me laugh, so I guess it's fair.
That's that's my goal in life, sir.
And as well, check out our friend Mike McGee at Mike McGee TV on YouTube, youtube.com/Mike McGee TV. I think he also is doing Twitch as well. I don't know if it's Mike McGee TV, but check him out at Mike McGee. I know he's been doing a lot more video game postings, so definitely check him out there if you like doing Let's Plays. And I think he has been thinking about doing more stuff there, which actually, I think at one point Jason was talking about us doing something on Twitch as well.
Yeah, but we all suck, so it would be funny. But
oh no, Twitch, you actually now it's completely changed, which really doesn't belong in our podcast. But
great.
Anyways. Oh, why not? You can actually, they have IRL, which in real life, and basically you have people that are just sitting around talking. They actually have a talk show channel now. Like they have, it's completely different, man. And they have Always On, which is like basically TV channels that aren't real TV channels, but are trying to create themselves as TV channels, streaming on Twitch. So,
whoa,
Twitch, you got a plug from us at the very end. I don't know if anyone made it this far, but you're welcome. Can we get some money?
Does that mean we can have our own Twitch TV channel that's not really a TV channel?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that sounds great.
I'm sure.
Well, we would copyright it, you see, and then.
All right.
That's.
Oh dear God. Thank you all for joining us.